and welcome to World Have Your Say. We're going to talk about the extraordinary events taking place at the San Jose mine in Chile. All week, the world's been gripped by the ordeal being endured by those 33 men trapped 700 meters down. Needless to say, the story is having the greatest impact in Chile itself. Here's an email from William. He's got in touch to say this situation has stopped the entire country's daily routines. Chile as a nation has shown that we are very strong and we're united. And if interest was high already, this 45-minute video that's been released has really grabbed your attention. It's the most watched video of the past few hours on bbcnews.com and gives us a compelling insight into what the men are going through. We know you have many questions about their situation, so for the next half an hour, we have a panel of engineers, psychologists and miners to give you some answers. Here's how to get in touch. If you're online, you can post on the blog at worldhaveyoursay.com or email us. The address is worldhaveyoursay@bbc.com. If you've got your cell phone to hand, send us an SMS on country code 447786 20 60 80 or just call us up. The number is country code 44 20 70 83 72 72. Well, let me introduce you to our first two guests. Dr Iya Whiteley is a space and military psychologist. She's here in the studio with me. Thank you very much for coming in. Pleasure. And on our news set, we have Alan Baxter. He's a mining engineer. Alan, great to have you on as well. Well, maybe we could pull up the first email question that we've had in, because lots of you have been getting in touch with this point and that point, and we're going to try and get through as many as we can. Let's pull that up on the screen if we can. This comes in from Gower in Sierra Leone via Facebook and says, why will it take months before the completion of the rescue operation? Is it because of a lack of adequate resources or negligence on the part of the government or even on the mining company? Well, Alan, maybe you can help us with that. Why is it going to take months to reach down and bore a new hole to these men?
Well, first of all, you've got 700 metres to get down from the surface. I'm understanding that the main access routes, which are normally...
Alan, I don't think we can hear you very well at the moment, so in the meantime, let me see if I can sort out the microphone with you and ask you, Iya. Lots of people are also asking about how these men are coping. This video gives us our first glimpse of them, really. What was your reaction when you saw it?
Well, I guess they are in good spirits and happy that there is a progress. But, however, of course, there are things to endure, and we don't know how long the rescue would take, so I'm sure that's playing on their mind.
But there are lots of us, and I've lost track of the conversations I've had where people have just said, I wouldn't be able to cope with that. So how do we understand that these miners do seem to be able to be coping with it?
Well, the human spirit is quite enduring, and we have seen through a number of history cases like Shackleton. Also, we know about people enduring, surviving, for example, in the military situation, and there are a number of occurrences in space where people had to overcome the situations, and luckily we have very low number of major accidents, so I think the possibility is great for us to survive and do something about it. And we have great strength once we dive into it. Okay. For example, British Antarctic Survey, we have people who are stranded, in a way, for 3 to 6 months.
I suppose the difference is they've chosen to be stranded for 3 to 6 months, while these men certainly haven't done. Now, let me cross back to Alan, because I think we've managed to hear you this time, Alan. Why is it going to take so long to reach these men?
Well, there's no immediate access into the mine via the normal routes, such as the shafts and the inclines, and they're having to drill down some 700 metres with a shaft that's going to be around about 3 feet in diameter, in which they will put a cage and try and pull the men out. And the progress on this shaft would be no more than around about 10 metres a day drilling time.
Alan, thank you very much indeed for responding to that. Gawa in Sierra Leone, thanks for getting in touch. Let's put up a message from John in Scotland. He's got in touch through Facebook to World Have Your Say and asks, is there a danger that the rescue attempt could cause further cave-ins? Well, Alan, I guess that's one for you as well.
Highly unlikely major cave-ins. There may be some small displacements depending on where they're trying to aim the rescue shaft.
Thank you very much indeed for that. And John in Scotland, we appreciate you getting in touch. If you go to worldhaveyoursay.com, you'll find all of our details for Facebook, Twitter, and so on. Let's bring in a third guest now. The psychologist Dan Beach is joining us live from Chicago. He's based at the Department of Psychology at the Dominican University. Dan, great to have you on the program. What was your reaction when you saw that video, the video that everyone around the world is watching today?
Well, I was encouraged by the spirit of the men. Of course, the biggest issue is going to be to maintain morale, and it looks like morale continues to be good at this point.
And how do you explain that these men are able to maintain their morale when lots of us are watching on and thinking there's no way we would survive in that situation?
Well, when we're put into adverse situations like this, it's amazing how the human spirit can rise to meet those kinds of needs. We see examples of this, for example, in the Apollo 13 problems, the situations in the 19th century with the polar expeditions, the searches for the Northwest Passage, etc., when men were iced in over winter. It's amazing how well people can respond to this kind of adversity when their lives depend upon it.
Well, that's interesting you mentioned space, because you work with astronauts. What do you teach them about what's coming their way psychologically?
Behavioral training, as well as they, of course, account and work with their colleagues and learn of what could happen in space. It is, they play through training scenarios, and it is important for them to understand and appreciate the kind of difficulties they might come.
If you're watching us and want to call us up, it's country code 44 2070 83 72 72. We're live here on BBC World News. Let's cross to Santiago, to Santiago and speak to Javier, who's joining us on the phone. Javier, describe how your country has changed as this story unfolds this week.
Well, it has been very, very important, because this is the year that Chile is celebrating its 200th anniversary as an independent country, and after the earthquake of February 27th, the mood had been really, really somber, and then this disaster happened, and most of the people were thinking that the miners had already lost their lives, and all of a sudden, in something that was truly miraculous for some people, they were found to be alive, and not only alive, but rather very well organized down there and with very high spirits. So it transformed the mood of the country.
Very good to speak to you, Javier. Thank you very much. And it has been striking, the number of emails coming into the BBC from Chile, all expressing incredible pride in what these 33 men are doing, and pride in the way their country is supporting them.